Hey, patrons. Welcome to another $50 top tier review. So, funny story, and this is kind of why this review is so late, is because you all actually voted for The Babadook, and so I watched that movie right after I watched The Exorcist on the plane home from Florida, and I had planned to record it right away when I got home and deliver it to you on New Year's Eve. And right as the movie finished, as The Babadook finished, I heard a sound effect in the movie. And I was like, wait, I remember commenting on this sound effect about this movie. Because turns out, The Babadook, I already fucking did one of these reviews on it. It was already chosen by you top tier patrons a while ago, maybe a year ago now. So there's going to be a link to that. I've already sent it out to you, I'm sure. But then I had to, so that was New Year's Eve. And then I had to spend the rest of the day doing the party and then the ensuing days cleaning up and recovering from that party. So that's why I'm getting this to you now, along with the Exorcist review. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for getting it late to you, but hopefully we'll be all caught up for the new year. After I realized that I had already watched The Babadook, man, I took notes and everything. It was going to be a good review. Hopefully the other one is still good. But I had to do the math and figure out what the second place winner of all your votes was, and that was Creep. That was Creep, the movie made and premiered in 2014. I think it had a Netflix release in 2015. Found footage film with just two dudes in it the whole time, Mark Duplass and the director, Patrick Bryce. So Mark Duplass is one of the Duplass brothers. Duplass, I don't know. But they do a lot of indie films, it's called mumblecore movies. They're part of that genre. It's often comedies, a lot of improv in their movies. That's what really marks their films. Is it Greenberg? Is that one? Is that with Ben Stiller, I think? It was maybe one of theirs. I know Mark is in that. They're all over the place. I mean, Mark's in The League. That guy's got to be fucking loaded. He is everywhere and does everything. But Creep is a very small independent film made by Mark and the director, Patrick Bryce. They're the only two people in it. I think they co-wrote it. Mark produced it. Patrick directed it. But, I mean, they're like, this movie lives and dies according to their performances because it's just these two dudes. And, yeah, you can tell that a lot of it is improvised. I'm sure they just set out the beats of what they wanted to hit and then just improvise the scenes. And I even read that they had they did so many takes that there were all these different they called them permutations of each scene from just them improvising the scenes together, and they had different endings and stuff. But really, because it's just these two dudes, it's all dependent on their acting, and thankfully they're very good. I mean, especially Mark Duplass. He plays the guy who calls himself Joseph, and he is so fucking unsettling and weird, man. It's so great. So, long story short about this movie, if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend it. It's only 77 minutes long. Like, it is a short fucking movie. So go ahead and pop it on, watch it, check that out. And then, it's about a guy played by Patrick Bryce, the director, who is hired to film another dude, Mark Duplass, because Mark Duplass says that he's sick, he has a brain tumor, and that he has a unborn child on the way, and he wants to make this video for his child to see since he won't be able to watch his child grow up. So that's the premise, but obviously that's not the facts of the matter. Mark Duplass is not who he says he is. It's found footage, all found footage from Patrick Bryce's Aaron is his character, from his camcorder, as he it starts with him driving up to this secluded home and telling the camera, so I got this Craigslist gig. It was just $1,000 for one day of filming. So I'm going to go do this with this dude. And fun story. This is not the first time I've watched this. The first time I watched this movie, here's a fun little fact for you. It was a while ago, and I watched it when Chelsea went out of town for some reason. So I was like, okay, I'm by myself. And this was before Dead Meat ever started. But I obviously always liked horror movies. But I got real high and put this movie on, and I think I started in the living room and then took it into the bedroom and was watching it on my phone. And after Peach Fuzz, the wolf mask happened, I was so fucking creeped out that I was just like, nope, I'm gonna finish this tomorrow. I'm tired, I'm really tired. I think I'll just finish this tomorrow, so I'm not too tired. I was so scared because found footage can be very effective to me as someone who grew up with a camera and was recording all stuff constantly and always watching back the footage. This kind of footage feels very natural and real to me to see. So right off the bat, when you have the camcorder footage just recording the mountains as he's driving by and just the milieu and him walking up to the cabin door and everything, it just feels real. Like, that's what I like about found footage. As always, I think I've reviewed a few found footage movies in these reviews. As always, you got to have an excuse to, like, why are they still recording? This one has that excuse in that, you know, he's being paid to record Joseph's life, and Joseph even says keep that camera rolling because he wants to have himself documented as he is for his unborn child. But definitely this conceit kind of loses muster a little bit when things start to get more creepy, like especially the moment when the most glaring time is when Aaron, he's still at the cabin, and it's when he just gets off the phone with who he thought was Joseph's wife, turns out to be his sister, Angela, and he comes back and Joseph's gone. He had been passed out. And so he's like looking around for Joseph, but he's using the camera, and like even when he goes out on the balcony, he like slides open the exterior door, and like the camera is peeking around the corner. But if you just think like if you're someone with a camera, you're not going to be doing that. You're going to like, you know, so it kind of falls apart in that aspect. And then later on when he gets home, he's recording a lot of stuff that I don't think a person would normally record. But you got to give found footage films a little bit of leeway, or else you'll never be able to enjoy any of them. It's like impossible. I don't know if there's a single found footage film that gets away with really 100% like, oh, this person would be filming this. Except for, I think one of the Paranormal Activities has a lot of security cam footage, so that would make sense because that would always be recording. But there's always a point at which it's like, no, they would probably have dropped the camera and just be trying to survive. But, you know, just give it to them. Yeah, so this movie, he meets Joseph, and Joseph's like this is Mark Duplass so good in this role because he's just so fucking weird. It's just like really intense staring at him, and it's just one of those people who like he's sharing too much right off the bat, and he's like, and I'm a hug person, and he gives a hug, but like he's like more where that came from. And then he's like, I'm gonna go hop in the tub, come film me in the tub. And it's like right off the bat, it's a red flag. And like tubby time is what he calls it when he's like, me and my dad used to do tubby time. And Buddy, that's the name of his unborn son apparently, he keeps talking to Buddy, and he's like, oh Buddy, I'm just gonna imagine you here on my chest, and he even mimes, like he's like, oh, your little toes, and oh, what's this? And I'm like, did he just mime biting that baby's penis? Like, you don't know, or is it a toe? But that's the other thing with this movie is this dude is creepy right off the fucking bat. So much so that you question why Aaron is so trusting for as long as he is. And I guess you just have to accept that Aaron's a dum-dum. There's no other way to get around this. And in the very end, when Joseph's talking to the camera and talking about Aaron, he's like, you were so good and naive, and that's like why you did all this. And it's like, I guess you have to just accept that premise, because otherwise it's like, why would this dude trust Joseph for any amount of time? Like, as soon as that tubby time happens, especially because he ends it by pretending to drown himself, and then when Aaron goes to check on him, he jumps out at him. There's a lot of big jump scares in this movie, and that's one of them. I think that might be the first one. No, the first one is when he's in the car waiting for Joseph to show up, and Joseph like hits the car door. And yeah, Joseph's just always like, sorry, it's my weird sense of humor. It's like, no, you're fucking creepy, dude. So yeah, I think you just have to accept that Aaron's like a messed up guy too. He's also like 6'6" or something crazy. That guy's fucking tall, dude. He's a real tall dude. Yeah, tubby time. I mean, there's stuff in this movie that stuck with me so much that I think I mentioned tubby time a few times in kill counts. Definitely in the Saw 5 one, you know, when they're going through and there's like the tub with the electrical thing. But yeah, if you hadn't watched this before and you have now, be on the listen for tubby time. I may reference Peach Fuzz because Peach Fuzz is terrifying. That's probably the next jump scare when they're getting ready to go out and explore the woods and go look for the heart pool for the healing water, as Joseph says. And Aaron scares himself by opening it, and there's a fucking wolf mask in the closet. And this wolf mask is apparently Peach Fuzz. Holy fuck. And Mark Duplass puts on the Peach Fuzz mask and does like this stupid fucking song. Hello, my name is Peach Fuzz. I may look like I ate you up, but I'm as friendly as a rabbit. And then I forget the last line. But yeah, it's an awful song, but it sticks with me because Peach Fuzz is so fun. And just this is when the found footage really helps, because it's just like that spotlight from the camcorder lighting him, and it's all grainy and lo-fi. It's scary, dude. It was shortly after that I checked out the first time I was watching this movie. It just gets creepier and creepier because like Joseph, he'll scare Aaron and be like, in the woods, he's like, you looked like you wanted to kill me for a second there. And then when they're eating at the restaurant, he reveals that he took pictures of him while he was waiting for him outside the cabin. And just all this stuff adds up to be real crazy. And I think probably the best part, and it's really effective. Aaron reluctantly agrees to, like, at the end of the night, come in for a drink with him, which that's when it's like, would you really do that, dude? Or wouldn't you just get the fuck out of there? But I guess it's one of those things where it's like, people want to avoid confrontation. They want to avoid seeming rude, and people will go like really make themselves uncomfortable sometimes to avoid being rude or hurting someone else's feelings. So I guess I can understand Aaron finally acquiescing and like agreeing to stay with one more drink, especially if this dude he thinks is like dying, whatever, and maybe he's just a weird dude. But then he finds out that like his keys are missing, and so he takes a proactive stance and like drugs Joseph and knocks him out, and finds his phone. And that's something that kind of doesn't go anywhere. That's when he talks to Angela, who Joseph had said was his wife's name, and it also said that like he used the Peach Fuzz mask to like rape her, which was crazy. It's like a story told entirely in black because he tells Aaron to turn off the camera, and so he turns off the camera but leaves the sound running. So you just have to listen because there's no visual to accompany it. And yeah, I guess how you feel about this movie is really how it's going to be reliant on if you buy into the premise and if you buy into like this creepy dude doing these things. I think it really works because of the performances. I don't think it's a perfect film, but I think it's a really solid one, a really good found footage film. And I think that it climaxes and reaches its peak that night, like when he drugs Joseph and knocks him out, and then he's he finds his phone and he talks to his sister, which like doesn't really go anywhere, but because the end of that scene is really creepy when Joseph like runs inside and runs downstairs, and Aaron tries to leave, but Joseph's standing there blocking the door with the Peach Fuzz mask on, and like he's not talking, he's just nodding and shaking his head, and that's really creepy and scary. And it ends with him charging him, and the camera cuts out, and then it comes back to like Joseph dragging up some garbage bags and like starting to bury them in the woods. And that's revealed to be a DVD that he sends to Aaron a little bit later because Aaron like got out of there. And I think after that point, it kind of starts to deflate a little bit because it was creepy, no pun intended, when Aaron was stuck in this isolated cabin with Joseph, and they were doing this, the filming him was still the conceit. So he had a reason for that, and it just felt very dangerous for him to be so isolated with this, obviously unstable guy. And that I think was the best part. After Aaron gets home, after that point, it does feel a little less threatening because now he's back in his house. He's back in society. And yeah, Joseph obviously, like, it's creepy that Joseph knows where he lives, and because he was able to send him that DVD. And then there's like some times when Aaron wakes up and films himself first to like talk about dreams that he had, but then he'll like hear a noise and go off, and you see Joseph in the background like stalking him. And it's just not as effective, I don't think, especially because like Aaron just gets dumber and dumber because he goes outside and finds his trash bin tipped over, and he's like, raccoons. It's like, no, man. It's like, go stay with someone. You have to know someone. Like, you have to have a friend that you can go stay with after you get that DVD, or like the box that he gets with a wolf plushie that he has to cut open and find like a locket in it with like J and A, Joseph and Aaron. Or no, that's what he carves into the rock. The locket has pictures of them. It just, it's creepy. It's like this creepy stalker dude. But the movie definitely loses a little bit of its urgency, I guess. Because, yeah, he like gives the police a call and they can't help him at all because he doesn't know if Joseph's his real name. He doesn't have anything to go by or any information to give them, really. But it just feels like he could be acting more defensively than he is, and taking more of a protective stance against what's going on. It just, it feels kind of it just feels less threatening after he leaves that cabin. But eventually after he throws out the locket that he gets, Joseph sends him one more DVD that says like, hey, I found the locket in the trash, and that made me really realize like how wrong I've been behaving. Can we meet one last time for closure? And it's like, no, Aaron, you don't meet one last time for closure. And I know he goes there and it's supposed to be a public place, and he's like, I'm filming it and I got my phone on speed dial to 911, but like it just still is too unbelievable for me that A, he would go there in the first place, and B, that he would sit on this bench and just face forward for so long while Joseph comes behind him, puts on the Peach Fuzz mask, takes the axe, and hits him. And when he hits him, that impact is jarring, and it's like, it's upsetting, and you feel it, but it just feels very unrealistic and unbelievable that anyone would sit there and let that happen to them, that you wouldn't hear anything going on behind you. And they try to justify it when Joseph then talks into the camera and is like, I wondered why you didn't turn around, and it's because you were such a good guy and you were so trusting and like you never questioned my intent. But I don't buy that. Like, that's not good enough for me. Because he did question him. Like, he had the 911 on speed dial and all that. So yeah, I was a little disappointed in that part of the ending, but I think the rest of the ending after that point was good, because it's Joseph, talking to the camera about Aaron, about how good he was, how he'll always be his favorite, and then he burns a DVD and puts Aaron with a heart on it, and adds it to like a bunch of VHSs he has with other names and DVDs with other names, showing that he has done this before. And then the very end is him on the phone calling himself Bill, I think, and asking another person to film him. So I like that part of the ending. They're like, oh, he's been doing this a lot, this is what he does type thing. But yeah, the end of Aaron felt like they just needed to end the movie somehow, and so they did that. I just wish that Aaron would have behaved a little bit more intelligently than he did, because yeah, he was a trusting dude, but no one's that dumb. Come on. No one's that stupid. So, it's a very short, simple movie, but again, I think it works mostly because of the performances. There's a lot of times in this movie where you just it's hard to know how to react to it. So for me, I just laugh. I laugh at like the awkwardness or like the absurdity, the bizarreness of it all, of Mark Duplass's behavior. But yeah, I laugh because I don't know what else to do. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, especially, it's so weird, man. It's so weird. Like, fuck, what was it? Just all the DVD, like getting the stuffed wolf in the box and just being like, I know that you're a killer, Aaron. You have it in you. And yeah, that's about it, man. It's a simple movie. If you are down with found footage movies, I think it's a good one. But yeah, you just gotta be willing to accept that it's very simple, I would say if you really want to appreciate this movie, focus in on the performances, which are great and creepy, and the fact that it's just these two dudes. Like, this is a super indie movie. I don't know if there was really a crew or anything. It might have literally just been these two dudes out filming because they're both filmmakers. So they might have just been like a two-man operation, this whole thing. So I think if you focus in on that, it's easy to appreciate this movie. It has like a 90-something% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is crazy. But yeah, fun little experiment in the movie. It has a sequel, Creep 2, which came out in the past couple of years. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm curious to see that. I'm assuming it's Mark Duplass playing the same character, probably doing it to someone else. Aaron, he's dead, so I doubt he'll show up, but it is Patrick Brice directing again. So I'm curious to see how it's different with the director not also on screen. Because, in this Creep, in the original, the director is the actor and he's controlling the camera. I'm curious how it is when he's just a behind-the-scenes type role. But have you seen Creep? What do you think? Do you like it? Do you think it falls flat? Or do you think it succeeds in being a weird little indie, improvised, creepy horror movie? I think it does for the most part. I'm not a huge fan of the ending, but you know what? Endings are hard, dude. Endings are very hard. That's usually when a movie's good except for one thing. That one thing is usually the ending. So let me know what you thought. Thank you so much for supporting me. You guys pull the most weight. I always say this, and I'm sorry for this being a month late, but you have it now, and I'm going to get caught up so that we don't have to do this again all the time, me with my apologies. But yes, until the next review or kill count or what have you, I don't have to do my sign off because this is way more casual than a kill count. So I'll just say thank you very much, everyone.